The pickaxe. Made up of many parts, the handle bit, the pointy bits, and the rest of it. It is arguably an important part of deep rock, used for gathering minerals, moving terrain, or some other way of saying hitting rocks really hard until they go away. That being said, there's more than meets the eye to designing such a simple yet useful tool. How should it look when it hits something? What sound should it make? How should minerals react when they're hit? How many hits should it take to mine them? How do you make it feel good to do? What other questions can I come up with? All of these questions, except for that last one, are important and likely came to mind, or should I say mine, when developing this thing. A great example of that being none other than older versions of DRG. If you've ever stumbled on footage of it, the pickaxe is definitely a less polished gem. It kind of looks stiff and a little goofy. It's nice to get a little bit of perspective to look at where things started, because it's a lot better now. The impact of digging into a mineral, watching all the little pieces sparkle and fall to the ground, hearing textured and crunchy sounds of mining into things, or perfectly mining a vein leaving no bits behind. It's like having a clean plate after dinner. There's just nothing quite like mining in DRG, and when it's something you gotta do all the time, that's what you want to hear. Sound is an underappreciated art form. Whether it's movies, games, or a YouTube video, the thing that's gonna take you out first is bad sound design. In today's cool fact that everyone knows, hitting different things should sound different. Dirt has a softer sound when digging through it. I'd hope so, since dirt is in fact softer than rock, but it also sounds loose, like there's something behind it. While the sound isn't the main tell for that, it definitely adds to it. I've always found this sound oddly pleasant. It's just nice to hear gentle crumbling when most things mined are usually more harsh. Buried minerals like jadis, Enor pearl, and bitter gem make this little pop sound when they're uncovered. This is such a great example of how game design fed into the sound design process. If the minerals in the game seem to pop out of the terrain, well, of course it should make that noise. But the best sound in the game has to be morkite. As a primary objective and a high-value resource, this stuff better sound special. I asked you all on Twitter what your favorite mineral to mine was, and morkite showed up significantly more than anything else. And the reason for a lot of people was that sound. It's just so unbelievably crunchy. Morkite is the Cape Cod kettle-cooked chip of the mining world. On a crunchitude scale, this stuff is out of this world. Another highlight for morkite and other minerals for that matter is the particles that come out of them when mined. I know this seems small, but I just really love how they did this effect. It's just something special in DRG. Something about them being 3D gives it more oomph, you know? It doesn't feel like a 2D particle popping out. It feels like you're really breaking some stuff up. It's worth mentioning that breaking large crystal structures is a whole new world of satisfying. If you ever break in one of those big salt pillars in salt pits, watching the whole thing crumble to the ground just fills me with joy. I haven't talked much about the crafting materials yet. These come in all shapes and sizes and are very integral to the satisfaction of collecting such goodies. My favorite of these has to be Bismore. There's something about mining a perfect cube that feels so damn good. When I see Bismore in a cave, I will drop anything to go mine it. It is like seeing a $100 bill laying on the ground. I'll do anything to go hit that cube twice. Some of these crafting materials have a sneaky little trick or a life hack of sorts. Speaking of power attacks, check out this screen that's about to say attacking. It's pretty cool. Hitting stuff is fun, but it's even more fun when it's a big evil bug trying to kill you. Normal swings with the trusty pickaxe aren't going to do much against an enemy. They can slow you down and don't do a ton of damage. In some cases, you shouldn't even be close enough to hit an enemy with a pickaxe. But there are a few exceptions. Some enemies have a weakness to melee damage, and that puts this in a bit more of the hit things with an axe ballpark. I especially love this for oppressors, as they're often immobile during their big stompy attack. Then you can kinda just sit there and slap them with your pickaxe until they die. Power attacks were added to the game in response to an old trick called Q mining being removed. This would allow players to mine faster by canceling an animation delay by tapping Q, hence Q mining, significantly increasing the speed at which you could mine. It was a pretty debated topic among the devs whether they should remove it or not, as some of them quite liked the trick. But anyway, it was removed, and it led to power attacks being added, and I much prefer power attacks, so thank you Q Mining. Let's pay our respects, Rock and Stone. Like I mentioned previously, some enemies are weak to melee damage, so hitting those enemies with a big old swing will do some serious damage at no cost. If you really enjoy your power attacks and want to do a little rip and tear action, you could use the active perk Berserker, giving the player unlimited power attacks for 10 seconds when activated. It may not be a top pick for active perks, but that doesn't stop it from being a good time. If you're gonna have to use the pickaxe, it better look good while you do it, right? Pickaxe customization was added in 2020 in Update 29. This not only allows you to customize the whole pickaxe, but the individual parts separately, letting you piece together your perfect pick. You can find these parts in lost packs, and you also get them from a few prestige assignments and season passes. Pickaxe customization is a pretty overlooked cosmetic in a literal sense because it's not as noticeable, but also because it's not as flashy as a new hat, beard, or weapon framework. That doesn't stop them from being pretty cool. Some highlights for me are Chasmborn Cliffhanger, Corehound, Hammerblow, and the Chill Axe from the 2022 holiday event. What's your favorite pickaxe cosmetic? I want to know. Put it in the comments. It makes sense to give endless variety to this feature of all things, because it's probably the most symbolic tool in Deep Rock. If you see this dwarf with a pickaxe, the first thing that's coming to mind is Rock and Stone. That's obvious. It's the most iconic part of this whole game without a doubt, to the point where any mention of dwarves online, whether it's related to Deep Rock or not, is gonna have a reply that says those 3 words. The identity this game has built is intertwined with the pickaxe, a symbol of unity between all dwarves, Greenbeard or Gray. Thanks for watching my video. Rock and Stone.